Anyway, welcome everybody. It's amazing. I don't know how many numbers we have right now, but we were at 2,000 earlier, so those numbers are exceptional for a game that I never expected to get here when I started doing this a few years back. So glad you guys are here, and thank you for supporting Age of Empires 2 EscapeAoE. And Rez is here, so I think we can move on to game one.
Yep. We really appreciate the support, everybody. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's great to be back. It's good to see you all again, and it's a real pleasure to be casting again with ET90. While it's starting, have you thought about TwitchCon?
Have I thought about it?
Yeah. Well, actually, the game is about to start.
Yeah, the game's going to start. We can talk about that after the games. These will be non-stop games today.
Non-stop AoE 2, starting now.
All right, folks. Welcome to game number one between Vivi and Shuainiu. Vivi is in the blue, playing as the Slavs, and then we have Mongols for Shuainiu. Shuainiu is on the west side of the map. As we spoke of before when we saw Mongols in an earlier set, Mongols are fantastic in early Feudal because they hunt faster in Dark Age. They collect that food faster and thus can hit Feudal and hit their opponent faster. As Slavs, that's a civilization that slowly gets stronger as the game goes on. And that's the same with Vivi, in all honesty. Vivi is more well-known here. Vivi is the higher-rated player, and he's one of my favorites. And wow, right off the bat, both players meet with their scouts in the center. And they're taking the engagement. Oh, the HPs are so close, Rez. I'm clicking both the scouts. I'm going to go on a limb and say Vivi wins this one, but whoever loses, oh, wow.
Ooh, wow.
That is huge.
So really Dao, a.k.a. Vivi, does end up taking that scout war, and that, like you said, is absolutely colossal. So those of you just tuning in again, my name is Residence22. This is the Escape Champions League. And now we're into the next set of games, joined by T90. This is Valley. We got a frozen river here. And Valley is a reasonably open map, but it is potentially wallable. It has cows, which makes it very different than Arabia, in that you actually have quite a nice amount of food. But man, when you lose your scout in the early game, we were just talking about this in the prior series. Scouting and scout HP are two very important things, and one of our players can't do any scouting at all, and the other player has a scout.
Yeah, and luckily for Shuainiu, he's located his boars. And one is on the back there, and the other one is he's actually getting it from the front. So that's good for him. But yeah, as you said, Rez, it's always tough, especially against players of this quality, because Vivi, he'll get some real value out of that scout. I guarantee it. Now, there's food in the middle, very good for Mongols. We might see aggressive plays, possibly man-at-arms, possibly scouts. We've even seen trash and such on this map in the past. We'll wait and see. But let's look at the resources and where they're distributed beyond the food. Vivi to the south of his TC, he has 2 golds there and a stone, so that will be a hill to lock down. He's already starting the wall off on the front. He has lots of nice little choke points he can use to wall up. A wood line on the back, even gold on the back, and even his stone locations, which are a little bit awkward, should be fine for him. Shuainiu, he has gold and stone on the back as well. To the south, he has 2 more stones, and then he has 2 golds forward. But again, for him, he could possibly wall that off. And Rez, he's already come to the center for deer and for shorefish.
Which exactly is the play he should be going for, as the Mongols with their 50% faster hunting. And also bearing in mind that villagers gather from shorefish very, very efficiently compared to fishing ships. But he is going to make the correct play and reassign his villagers to that deer. Try and take advantage of those power spikes that the Mongols' hunting bonus does provide them, before eventually the Slavs overwhelm you with their res farms, their farming simulator. This does, though, make a very interesting map, because this means that Shuainiu is going to have a bunch of villagers in the middle, right for the picking. And he is playing against the Slavs. Now, the Slavs, I feel like, are a less predictable civilization. I would expect Shuainiu going for such early deer and being the Mongols, and this being a map that is pretty open, that he would assume that maybe his opponent's going for deer as well. Just going for scouts for map control kind of makes sense. But what will we see from the Slavs?
Well, the metagame right now, as you said, they're not very predictable because they can do everything, I guess. But the metagame, at least on Arabia, is either some type of drush. Who, Vivi lost? Yeah, Vivi lost his scout. Nice pick off there from Shuainiu on the wood line.
Got shanked. Yeah.
It's either a drush or it's man-at-arms currently. That's what the meta has been. And drush, the idea is to delay your opponent. In this case, you could even pick off the deer with the militia, which is funny. And then while you're delaying them, you can wall up and add economy. And that seems to be the play for Vivi. He's walling, and here come the militia. Shuainiu, he has no clue this is coming because obviously he has not scouted his opponent, as his scout is dead. And it will be a choice of scouts for him, I believe. So how will he react to these militia? The militia are going to kill his deer.
Would he dare? Oh, he would. But the deer, they live one mace attack with 1 HP, and it's running for its life. Will it escape? What an exciting battle. And the deer is down, ladies and gentlemen. It will not be in this game. It will not be fighting in the next battle. So, Slav's Rush. It's pretty good. Why is it pretty good? Well, 15% faster farming helps. Once you do the Feudal Age, you get free tracking, which I think is an underrated bonus. It's not that great, but it helps your militia and your spearmen critically be able to chase down enemy scouts and enemy units that would normally be out of their line of sight. I think that's really essential with spearmen in particular. And that's going to make a scout rush, which I expect from Shuainiu to be fairly awkward. But what a quick wall! What a quick wall from Shuainiu. These militia not going anywhere.
Jinx. Quick wall failed. Militia come in, and our villager could die here. I mean, regardless, I think the villagers will survive. Regardless, this is huge for Vivi because he's forced his opponent into building walls and houses, which is idle time and also resources he didn't want to build, or want to use now, rather. And Vivi, he's not interested in necessarily getting kills here beyond the deer, of course. He's just here to delay his opponent. And look at the walls for Vivi. He has an obnoxious amount of walls, and he will soon be fully walled once he finishes up on that right-hand side. So this is just a standard Drush fast castle for Vivi. We'll have to keep an eye on his resource count to see if the slab farms have helped him out, if he'll have the food and gold for it. But, you know, Shuainiu, he's just making his first scout res. So, I mean, luckily he's killing Vivi's militia. But yeah, exactly. Even if Vivi deletes this last militia, as he sacrificed the other two, the scouts can't get in. So I think it's going to be tough for Shuainiu to really pressure Vivi over the next few minutes.
That was like an M. Night Shyamalan quick wall right there. Good lord, I shouldn't have said anything. What a twist. It so turns out that those houses are indeed made of paper mache and just disintegrated to those militia. He should have constructed them just a little bit more, just a tip. And now, we're getting to some interesting things. So I really like that he's going for the men-at-arms, not the men-at-arms, he's just going for like a Drush Fast Castle build. Ooh, that lane. Oh, nice. I actually really like these going for just the Drush Fast Castle instead of like a men-at-arms Tower Rush or anything. Why? Because of the way his map is laid out. I feel like he gets just a really clean wall off here to protect his resources, as well as put a wall up on the hill. And let's see what he's going for. Blacksmith and archer range. Okay, so it looks like he's going for crossbows. Now, he will be able to get to the castle age fairly soon. And one of the downsides going for scouts is it does slow down your castle time to a degree. It depends on how many farms you actually get out. And I think he'll just be able to defend because he's walled up. He's got the tracking spearmen.
The issue, so Shuainiu, what his response should be here is A, wall up at home massively because he won't reach the castle age as fast, or go forward with the tower. If your opponent Drush fast castles, your decision is one or the other there. And he was considering a tower, and that would have been a great tower because it would have ranged those golds and that stone, but he's actually going back now. As all these scouts, he can't do anything with them, right? So
no, he can't. He can't take this fight. I mean, he's going to try and he's looking at an isolated spearman, but he's just going to take one hit, which is absolutely massive. He's out bloodlines. It's a 3-hit kill, so he has to be very, very careful. And it looks like Blue's going to get double bid-axe. He's on his way to the castle age now.
Yeah.
We were both looking at the same spot for the tower, right for the pick-in for the double gold and the stone on a hill. That would have been fantastic. Shuainiu was thinking about it, but Vivi able to deny that and now even harass some hunters with a militia and some spearmen. He's doing a great job holding the line just with the spearmen. I do really think the extra line of sight is helpful here to keep track of that. If you're following his line of sight, he can still see the scouts.
Well, Vivi has done everything right here. His build was a little bit off by his standards. He could have been up a little bit faster, but still, he will be in the castle age just under 17 minutes, and he will go for crossbows, as you said. Just a few thoughts on this. A crossbow kind of surprises me. I think knights have a lot more value in lower numbers, so that's surprising to me. It's also surprising to me that Red ran back because he's still, it's just a few spears here. He could have fought with his vills, so like a forward tower would have been able to buy him some time. And currently, I guess he's going for that wall option I mentioned. But anyhow, Scouts once again unable to do anything as Vivi repairs his gate, and Vivi will send his archers out of the gate he built on the other side, and he will run forward to Red's base. And Red is now adding these stone walls because, again, he needs more and more time. This just gives Vivi a stronger Castle Age economy, time to add TCs, and time to boom up with the slabs. So Red will really need to hold on here and then push back massively when he gets to Castle Age.
Oh man, Red is nowhere near the Castle Age with only 150 food and 180 gold in the bank, and then he has to spend food still on villager production in the meantime. The crossbows are out. They do have the fletching upgrade. He will need that bodkin arrow, but so this is a really, you're right, very interesting decision. The knights are just objectively stronger in smaller numbers, but I think the reason he went for crossmen isn't super intuitive. But for the viewers, I think he's going for it mostly to just apply some harass on the other side of these walls, because the way the gold is split up on Valley is actually not like Arabia. It's weird. You have 2 main piles of 5, and then you have a secondary pile of 4. And I think he realizes that there is a really good spot for a town center here that he can just deny and apply some harass over the walls, whereas the knights just won't be able to do it. And that's a tough call, because the knights are obviously better for the Slavs, but the faster farming helps kind of every strategy that you go for, so.
Yeah, well, regardless now, Vivi, he could add TCs at home, right? He's delayed the walls. He's at least delayed Red's eco a little bit. Red has yet to click up the castle. He's getting very close. Fortunate for him, he had the gold and the stone on the back, and he has stone walled the rest of his base, with the exception of the front being house walled. But yeah, he clicks up. Vivi's advantage will grow and grow and grow. The strategy choice for Red, well, he has that one range. He created a few skirmishers and archers, so possibly he'll continue with ranged units, which slightly favors the Mongols. I guess time will tell. Yeah, he's adding a second range, so maybe he'll go into CA here, Rez. Cav archers might be a nice switch.
That would be a nice switch, but I wonder if that's what he's going to go for here. He's making so many skirmishers, and the elite skirm cost got reduced. I always try to think like one step ahead, and I'm wondering if he goes instead of cavalry archers into elite skirmishers, how does that play out? Because then you're dealing with the Slavs, right, which get 15% cheaper siege weapons. So even though the Mongol siege weapons in the late game are insane, 15% cheaper mangonels, you're saving a lot of wood and a lot of gold. So I feel like that actually favors him if he can bait Shuainiu into elite skirms. Now, I think cavalry archers is a decent thought, definitely, but I wonder which one he's going to go for, because there's no skirms. There's no skirms for blue.
Well, if he goes into elite skirm, that opens him up to a lot of counters that Red can do, as you said, Vivi can do. So Vivi could go with the stable, add a knight or two, or he could go with the siege workshop. And you mentioned the siege for both civilizations. Siege is only going to be really successful once Vivi's at like maybe 70, 80 villagers. So maybe Red still has some time to use his mobility, right? Because cav archers are very mobile. But the real problem here for Red is his late castle time, and now he's building a TC on the front to protect that, but he doesn't have any offensive military right now, and he will go elite skirm. He'll probably mix in CA, but that's not offensive still, it's just defensive, and Vivi, it will be on 3 TCs, and he's feeling good about this, I'm sure.
Yeah, like you said, the cavalry archer is a unit that is
good fight on the front here. Good fight on the front here. That's good for Red.
That is very good for him. He's actually going to completely catch Vivi off guard. Vivi does have to pull back because all the elite skirms suddenly ungarrison with the bodkin arrow, a timing attack in the Castle Age. Now these javelins are missing their targets quite a bit, but he still forced them back. 2 scouts alive at almost full HP. All he has to do is keep the scouts away from the spearmen. And nice, he actually completely catches Blue off guard. Blue wants to take these fights, but every javelin hit he takes is going to be massive. There's no padded archer armor, though. Yeah,
I was going to say, the skirms have no armor, and the siege workshop's up. So now with the Mangonel, the Mangonels can trade well versus skirmishers. So I still think this is very good for Vivi. Red, he did take a favorable engagement, though. It's good to pick off those crossbows. Vivi also adding a stable as we speak, Rez, so he'll mix in the knights as well. And this is where CA are needed for Red. If he doesn't have, I guess he'll go the crossbow route, but if he doesn't have something that can kill the knights and the mangonels, it'll be tough for him, and he's forced right back because he doesn't have that at the moment. And Vivi's economy only grows larger now. 3 TCs, 11 villagers more than Shuainiu. He hasn't been troubled all game. Let's be honest, Vivi has not been troubled at all. It's been very comfortable for him.
It was almost troubled for a split second with that surprise elite skirmisher, which I think was a great play.
Yeah,
Here comes that knight to threaten that mangonel, but I love that monastery as well from Vivi. So that way, the enemy knights from the Mongols can just get converted. So it's really difficult for him to converge on that mangonel. Now,
here we go. The knight comes out to kill the mangonel. I think the mangonel will still die, and the knight gets deleted. So that's good for Red.
Nice.
Very good. Vivi may be paying attention to his booming economy back at home instead of the front for a second. Still the situation for Vivi, very good because he has the vill advantage. It's only 1 mangonel down, and Red has nothing to kill him, but Red is upgrading crossbow, and Red is adding a siege workshop as well. So micro will be very important over the next couple minutes in the center of this map.
This is actually a fantastic game, but I was talking about this earlier, that this is exactly where Shuainiu wants to put his town center. Between these 2 golds, on this hill, next to that wood line, but his wall up is very, very close to his town center. And this is a key harassment point for Blue. Blue will be able to actually mangonel this down slowly if he wants to, as well as harass these villagers, and basically force Shuainiu to take a fight. Is he going to defend? Instead, he opts to go forward. I really feel like padded archer armor here is going to be essential. Instead, now he's grabbing some upgrades. It looks like Vivi, our blue player, is going to go for the Bloodlines upgrade as well. And yeah, I have to say, I think Shuainiu is playing a little bit with fire here by going forward, but I think that Vivi's town center is also vulnerable, so we'll have to see how this plays out. But I'm a little nervous with the double mangonels.
Yeah, he almost needs to though, Rez, because if he doesn't do damage to Vivi soon, he's so far behind. So his TC's he's kind of holding, I guess, with that TC for the moment. And he'll send over a mangonel and he'll try and trade and play defensive there while he goes out offensive on a counterattack. But, you know, as you said, Vivi, he has all the answers now. And the interesting thing for me is Vivi did not create just 2 knights. He's on 5 now, and he's adding 6 and 7, and he's going to get upgrades on them too. So maybe recognizing that he has an advantage, he will try and hold the map, not allow the Mongol player to get to the Imperial Age where the elite Mangonite could beat them.
The dodge. All right, so here's the thing with elite skirmishers. I think that was a fantastic play, but was it a short-term play or a long-term play? This is when the Vsauce music kicks in. And it might be a short-term play because it opens
that mangonel shot was huge from Shuainiu. And also
he's gonna get another one.
That's big.
And
that's big.
And he repaired his mangonel too. Immaculate, everybody. Oh, give him a seems good. That was absolutely good. And I love it. Great control.
He still needs trades though, Rez. He still needs trades. His army cannot fight +2 knights, and that's what these knights are. So he has some camels, he has lots of crossbows, he needs a very big engagement. It's worth pointing out he has a little bit of stone, so maybe if he wins that engagement, he could then castle the center. Vivi, he has mobility as well. He has more mobility than the crossbows do. And he sees how many crossbows are there, and he sees the stable's garrison. So Vivi, as he loses another mangonel to Red, he's coming forward, and he's going to be able to castle forward.
That was a hill advantage right there. Oh, yes. Everybody knows I have the high ground. And it was essential there. But with that castle drop, I love it because this is a huge point of vulnerability with 2 gold mines there and a town center and some farmers. Oh, they're not going to be a peaceful farming civilization for too long. So now we get to answer history's greatest question. What matters more, having an army of lots of counter units or perhaps bigger eco-diplomacy? We'll see. Well, that castle...
Economy.
the economy definitely is what matters more. And that mangonel's dead. The knights are in. The wall did not finish. Now we're getting into trouble. Are we going to see some matrix dodges? I don't know. I don't want those camels going underneath that castle and getting converted.
Vivi just timed this to perfection. The castle's up in a vulnerable position. He knew Red was trying to buy himself time by holding that, so he built the castle forward. And Red's army can't do anything. He gets a few conversions, Vivi, and he keeps his other Mangonel alive. And now the Knights are in Red's eco. And what does Red have here? He has no mobility to catch up to this. He's already 30 villagers behind. There's a forward castle on his face right next to 2 golds. And I'm struggling to see a way back now for Shuainiu. Vivi is really polishing this one off. And the +2 Knights can sit underneath that TC, kill more and more villagers. And that's got to be the GG moment right there.
It has to be. I mean, the upgrade discrepancy is absolutely massive. These camels don't have bloodlines. They only have +1 defense. They have almost nothing. And Shuainiu's offensive gambit to try and apply some pressure has really not been able to do much because the distance between his archers in that town center is just too much. And the Palisade Gate, I mean, he's finally blown it down, but it's too late. It's too late. And now Vivi is on his way to the Imperial Age because his eco's been managed so well, and that breach in his defenses is really going to bite him. These camels need upgrades pronto. With the Bloodlines upgrade down, it's going to be rough. And okay, he is building a defensive castle. That's how you stall the Imperial Age. That is how you do it. But he suffered so much eco damage. He's so far behind in population, down by 50. It would take a miracle.
Yeah, I mean, he can buy himself a little bit of time with the crossbows and skirmishers in Vivi's base. You know, I feel like Red will call the Imperial Age. I mean, call the Imperial Age. Oh, yeah, call the Imperial Age. Call the GG when Imperial Age comes in for Vivi. But, you know, he might try and micro these Mangonels down, so maybe we'll get one last highlight in this game as Vivi scrambles away from the crossbows and skirms.
Mangonel's approaching. This is tense. This is very tense.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Their GG was called right before he lost.
Oh, come on. Look at that. You see the projectile in midair? It might have hit all of them.
That is how you save face right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you save face. Call the GG before you lose all your units. Well played.
During the attack frame, I really think that Mangonel projectile would have probably wiped all of them out. But it's all about KD. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's all about your KD. And here, Shuainiu with the perfect APM manages to click that resign button. I recommend hotkeying it to most of your buttons on the keyboard because you never know when you need to do it. And he did it just in time. A very decisive victory.
Yeah, I mean, to review here, Vivi, again, was pretty much in full control after his drush. He had a game plan. He stuck to it. He drushed. He full walled. His economy was always going to be stronger as Slavs. And then he harassed Red, and he never really took damage from there. And I think Red's time window was when he went forward with his crossbows and skirms, and when he was defending on that TC, and he got the trades he needed, but he still couldn't get into Vivi's base, and because of that, it was always going to be a struggle. You know, if I were to have to replay that in Red's position, I would go forward in Feudal Age, and he considered it. Remember? He considered it,
definitely, he did.
But he came back home, and then he gave Vivi full reign over the middle of the map. If he went forward with towers, especially in that location, he could have at least delayed Vivi, kept Vivi back at his base while he walled up and got himself to castle as well, and maybe got some momentum that way. So that's a normal way to address when someone plays at Vivi's style, and he didn't do that. So I was a little bit disappointed that he went back after that tower was initially placed.
Yeah, great players know how to adapt, but great players also know when to commit. And I think that was the key moment there when he had the momentum, because I really do think that the surprise elite skirmishers was something that neither of us really like. I mean, I mentioned that it was a possibility, but we would have expected something else, like Cav Archers, for example. And I think he expected Cav Archers to be inside that archer range, but it wasn't. And it wasn't Crossman either. He got Crossman second. And he had that advantage for a little bit, pushing Vivi back, but he wasn't able to capitalize on it. I really feel like Vivi's game plan overall, especially with that castle drop there on that town center, pressuring the double gold, just completely destroying Shuainiu's economy, was excellent. And that gamble of just pushing in, the Crossman and Elite Skirms, they just don't apply enough pressure. But at least he ended the game right before the Mangonel Blast hit him. And that's the real victory.
The truth was he was already too far behind when Vivi had crossbows and TCs. I mean, he had to go Elite Skirm to address that, right? But that's not an offensive option. So rather than talk about that for the next 10 minutes, as Rez and I could definitely do, We like to analyze games.
We love it. We love it.
Let's look at the achievements. There's the KD for you. Vivi had more kills, but once again, as all the games have shown you today, the player who has won has had the stronger economy. So you will find instances where the person with less economy can win with more military, but in that game, Red had less strength in military and he had less eco, so it's only just a matter of time. Well played, Vivi. The next map is going to be Budapest, which is a 2 TC start. That will be madness, man. That will be a game where we can see some aggression.
I am looking forward to seeing not only the strategies the players go for, but also the civs they pick. I think next game is going to be fantastic. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you all in the next game very shortly. What a pleasure so far.
Yeah, man. It's been fun. So it's worth pointing out, just looking at the bracket on my other monitor right now. So Vivi, if he wins this game or wins the best of 3 and moves on, he will face the winner of Dogout and Max. Dogout and Max are 2 very strong players, 2 players who have been near the very top in Age of Empires for a while. So I'm just looking at this bracket, man, and there's so many top players, so many games to be played. I can't wait. This is amazing.
I can't wait either.
Yeah.
This is the opportunity that I've been waiting for a while. It's super exciting, and I can't wait to see the next set of games. Yes.
So Budapest is a map that really tests you as a player because 2 TC start is far from standard. And I think it favors players who have strong eco balance, but also players who are very fast. And it's hard for me to know. I've watched Vivi's stream a few times, but I don't know about Shuainiu. Like, I don't know what his speed is like. But I think if I'm Shuainiu playing against Vivi, I maybe go into this with an aggressive mindset and try and snowball units in Castle Age versus letting Vivi boom and get to Imp. Because last game, once Vivi got to Imp, it was tough for him. Or, yes, tough for Shuainiu, that is, just to be clear. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2 between Vivi and Shuainiu. And Shuainiu actually has an awful start here. He couldn't find his cows. So he goes to berries. That's the correct thing to do if you can't find your cows immediately off the start. That's just on 1 TC, of course, as well. So maybe his eco balance will be there. This is a 2 TC start on Budapest. Lots of stone, lots of gold, lots of wood. Huns for both players here. Vivi to the left and Shuainiu to the right. Rez, it's notable that there's a hill in between the players, between both TCs. And there's also a lot of gold and stone there to be had. So I think locking down those hills in the center will be very important.
I'm going to bet hard money, T90, that we're going to see a lot of pressure applied towards the middle of the map. I think that is going to be the point of contention, is that hill with all the gold. There's 3 gold mines and I guess 1 stone mine, and then the second one behind that, and then another gold mine. It's all really close to both players, and whoever controls that choke point is probably going to be the winner of this game. However, this game is going to be extremely exciting. This is, of course, the next game in the series between Shuainiu and Vivi, and both players plan on Budapest, the double town center start where you got extra sets of resources as well as your cows. It's a little tricky in the early game to sustain villager production, but that's what the cows are for. Definitely helps out quite a bit. And usually the standard strategy I see on this map is a fast castle age, but there's so many interesting strategies that you can go for here. And one of them happens to do with the fact that you start with 2 scouts, which allows you to do some early game harassment. And the question is, will you spread your scouts out for more map control and information on your opponent, or will you use them early game to harass your opponent for minute 0?
Yeah, very good thing to point out. Something that I wanted to say earlier is that both TCs get 2 boars near them that you can lure in. Vivi's having a good time luring in the boars. Look at Red's northern TC. He doesn't have boars on the backside. There were 2 on top of the hill. One he has not scouted. The other one was his, and Vivi stole that. Vivi, if you look at Vivi's scouting, he sees 2 more there. So he's about to go steal. He's going to try and get this boar before Red can. And Vivi's going to get it. So this is quite difficult for Shuainiu. He has to get the boars that are further. Luckily, he scouted them. But Vivi he's been stealing the boars.
That is going to be devastating, and an excellent play on Vivi's part, being able to steal and deny those 2 boars. But on the flip side, at least Shuainiu gets to steal another one of those boars, so it does kind of
even he can protect it with the scouts too. So he has the scouts there. I mean, he'll still end up getting 2 if he keeps his scouts around the boar.
Whoa, Vivi taking some extra damage from that town center on both of his scouts. And honestly, that is significant in this matchup because when both these scouts hit the Feudal Age, that's a very big power spike on Budapest from a guy who's played too much Budapest for his own. They get +2 attack, so it's almost like you have a scout rush for free, but not really. And now the 2 scouts are coming in here from Shuainiu, and he's thinking, like, should I harass these vills, or are they a little too strong in the Dark Age?
Yeah, he's probably a bit tilted because he lost that boar. So he only had 1 boar on that TC, whereas Vivi had 3, and then Vivi had his other 2 in the south. And not to mention the, all the other resources that you find on this map. So Budapest, we already see it's 2 TCs. One thing that's interesting is you can click up the Feudal Age on your 1 TC, use the other to add economy. Good engagement for Shuainiu there with the scouts, I have to say. Very good engagement. So as you said, Rez, he might be able to use it to his advantage to get a few build picks. But it's a high eco Feudal Age, 36 villagers for both. So when they click up, there will be a lot of economy rolling. If they go for Feudal Age strats like scouts, which I think would be the preference because it's faster, that could soon turn into knights and cav archers, which is the norm for Huns. And wow, forward walls for Vivi. Look at these walls for him on the front. He's walling off those golds. Shuainiu, he lost boars and he's going to lose golds as well. This is tough for Shuainiu, I have to say, man.
No, this is how you wall. This is how you wall. Straight up in the opponent's base. This one used to play a ton of competitive Black Forest. The further forward you can get that wall, denying that gold. Look at him cutting off one of the main golds of Shuainiu's town center. That's so far forward. Can he get away with it? Now, we haven't talked much about these Civ picks, but I love it. Double Huns? Why? Well, you start with 2 town centers. You don't have to build houses. That's fantastic. That makes the eco bonus so much stronger. As normally on Budapest, you have to just perpetually build houses, and that's going to actually cause a lot of idle time on your villagers when they could be doing anything else, like building a palisade gate 5 inches away from your opponent's gold mine. Instead, he doesn't have to. Neither of them do. And there's a dock for Shuainiu, but not a dock for Vivi. Interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if that really means much, though. Vivi will have a lot of walls. Red is just now figuring out that these walls are there because he went for a wall. If you look at his southern TC, he went to place the wall himself, and he never deleted that. So Vivi has a lot of map control. And because Vivi didn't dock, he will have the resources for the barracks, which he's now building, and then an earlier archer range, earlier stable, etc. With so much food on the map, I don't know if the fish will pay off, but maybe that's one way Shuainiu can have a slightly stronger eco as this game goes on. And both hitting Feudal Age now, and both having resources very close to what they would need to click up to the next stage. Vivi building a forward tower on the gold, though, Rez, and there's nothing Shuainiu can really do about that.
That tower, immaculately well placed. It's perfect because here's the thing. It just pressures that gold, and it forces Shuainiu to build a defensive tower. But where does he have to build it? Probably on the low ground, the way that this is angled, and that means that he's going to lose the tower war inevitably. You really want that hill advantage. And of course, he's going to get the tower down first because Shuainiu is playing reactively. So these gold miners are going to be completely disrupted, and he's going to have to build another gold mine. We already see him retasking his gold miners, and in my opinion, the eco damage is more or less done once you've picked off a villager, forced another mining camp to come down, you weaken them, and forced a defensive tower. And
it's
now
worth
Vivi,
pointing out,
to the Castle Age.
Sorry, Rez, sorry to interrupt you.
No.
It's worth pointing out that was not necessarily a reactive tower. Vivi's tower was placed so good that Shuainiu didn't know, and that's why he lost a villager. And Shuainiu is adding stables, so he will go knights in the next stage. He also has idle villagers in this tower, and Vivi is adding archers to toss into the tower. So he doesn't have idols either. If he ends up getting archers in these towers, it's some sick decisions from Vivi here, and he's stonewalling the southern side. I mean, this is a fast-paced game.
It's very fast.
I mean, it's tough to have 2 casters on Budapest because there's so much to talk about. It's so easy to run into one another. But yeah, cav archers will be the choice for Vivi, I guess. So he'll need to snowball those. And Red, he's going to need to punch back with his knights, but he can't go through the walls, Rez.
Yeah, I meant that Shuainiu's tower was reactive, but yeah, this is going to be a very interesting game. So when we're talking about the Huns, it's just generally two main build paths that you can go down. Now, there are obviously multiple, of course, depends on the map. Like, for example, this arena. But on Budapest, you start with 210 centers. So
Vivi's
you get
through on the wood line, Rez. Vivi's through on the wood line.
Oh, what the hell? He is.
He deleted his
there's
wall.
No wall. There's no wall for Shuainiu. So he's going to actually get to do some raiding. Wow, he's going to get to do some raiding before Castle Age comes down. So no night production. Are you going to make scouts? Of course you're not, because that's going to cost you all that food. So now the villagers have to stage an uprising or a little revolt.
Yeah.
They're not working.
Yeah. Idle time on idle time on idle time. And Vivi kills the other tower as well. So everywhere you look, Vivi has an advantage at the moment, and he's picking off villagers here. You know, maybe Red could delete the walls he's now building and send the knights in there. Maybe that's a small window for him, because knights will be stronger right now. But man, he's behind. He has so much idle time. He's also behind a few villagers. This is looking very good for Vivi, and it's not looking so good for Shuainiu.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to talk about, is that there were two primary build paths that you'd expect to see here. So one, the fast Castle Age is really dominant because of the double TC start and the powerful eco, so we just expect things to be faster. And the Huns can either start, I feel like, with a double stable or a double archer range to apply some Castle Age pressure. I do like the couple archers, actually, that Vivi ended up making just to apply some early pressure. That really paid off, even though he did not commit to the crossbow upgrade. So I think it was an excellent decision in his part. Now, Shuainiu opted to go for the triple stable. And he's doing this because, at first, the knights are much stronger, especially with bloodlines. But as we reach critical mass with these ranged units, it's going to slowly go in the favor of Vivi. And, of course, Shuainiu doesn't have a wall up. And you really want to have your wall up when the enemy's got ranged units. And look at that monastery, T90. I just love how Vivi reacts to everything.
It's so funny watching Vivi play this. He runs in, and then he goes, oh no, that's too many knights. I'll run out. And now he attacks on the hill. This is really where Shuainiu needs to take a good engagement, because he just got +2 for his knights. A monk's about to come out of the monastery. So as you said, Rez, that's a very important addition. Vivi may be making a mistake and running in too early there, but he will focus down the knights here eventually, and he will get a conversion.
Yeah, and the conversion will be key. So the interesting thing
whoa. Did you see that Red held the gate open with that one knight?
Yes, I did.
I thought it was attacking it, so he held the gate open, and now he's flooding with the knights. It's not too bad for him. That trade was pretty solid.
Honestly, he's been taking a pretty good engagement, but Vivi's got the secret weapon. He's got spearmen, and spearmen are not that great against knights, but they're good enough. And honestly, because he has that extra unit production facility, I think that might win him this fight, just because he has a couple spearmen in here. The spearmen tank hits, they deal a little damage in return, and he seriously won that fight with spearmen, as well as sitting underneath a watchtower with 4 villagers garrison. Even though I feel like Vivi could have controlled that a little bit better versus the knights, he still utilized the hill well. He still kept his units clumped so they wouldn't get surrounded. And Shuainiu was running out of this window of opportunity that's super valuable when you open up with the knights. Because now your opponent's got bloodlines, which is really essential for the cavalry archers, because now they start to become quite cost efficient. He's got ballistics. Once the upgrades start coming out, I fear for these knights, and he gets another conversion. Wow.
Yeah. Great conversion, and just look at the map control with these walls. Vivi has so much map control. He has 14 more villagers at the moment as well, so it is important that Red is pushing and he's not. And with ballistics, Thumbring could be incoming at some point. The Cav archers are just getting stronger and stronger, and this gets harder and harder for Shuainiu. I mean, dude, he doesn't even have gold next to the northern TC.
No, he doesn't. And
he does have that one goal, but my point is he'll run out of that.
It's just really heavily saturated.
Yeah.
He's got 2 HD villagers stuck there, holding that lump of gold in their hands. They're getting really, really tired, but, you know, they got hold of it anyway. And I like the addition of the spearman. I really love the monk as well. It's proving to be a huge threat, and it just means that Shuainiu can't commit to a fight. And when you lose a bunch of knights like he did, it's so hard to recover. It's so hard because you can always keep kiting the cavalry archers back. And the monk also allows him to heal, and he's really going to drop stone gate there. Nice, nice.
And Vivi says, hello, my friends. We meet again. He runs to the other TC with the cav archers because he gated it this time around. And now Red has to chase him. And if Vivi wants, he could just run away again and run with another batch of cav archers. This is all because of Vivi's forward walls. And yes, he's going to run right back. And Red, he has to make a decision on if he should run into this choke point with the cav archers.
Get trapped. Get trapped. Do it. Do it. Okay,
Oh
he's gonna
man, that
pull
was
out.
so close. Yeah, I thought for sure he
Self-control.
was gonna get trapped in there.
Whew. Whew, that's scary. So that would have
But
been a really bad play if he ended up getting trapped in there, isolated between those two tiles, crammed in there. And once the bodkin arrow comes out for these cavalry archers, honestly, having that extra attack, this is something I didn't get talked about earlier on, makes the 6th base attack, makes it so that with bodkin arrow, you actually deal 2 damage to Mangonel, which is very essential. And also, they're just better against knights than crossbows are because of the extra attack. As long as he can control his cav archers well, and with
yeah,
the gate it helps,
Vivi.
he should be in good shape.
Yeah, Vivi needs to be careful. There's still a lot of red knights, but yeah, this would be great for Vivi. He gets to the hill again. He'll get conversion.
A choke
Start healing.
point.
Oh, the choke is perfect. The gate is helping. So good for Vivi. 130 population.
Double
Only
conversion
85
again.
population for red, man. This fight.
Double conversion again. Oh, so good. That's so good. And meanwhile, the monks and their passive healing, something that doesn't come into play that often, but is certainly significant. So I guess the moral of the story is having a dock is nice, but it's definitely not going to win you the game. And I still don't think this is a good fight to take because you still can't quite saturate the cavalry archer.
Yeah,
Look how he's
yeah.
bunching them up on top of each other. And they're also just in that choke point. This control is huge, and why I actually like watching Hun Wars so much. Very skill intensive, and if you're going for knights, you got to have a game plan. And it looks like Vivi just executing that so efficiently.
Yep, GG is called.
GG, well played.
There were a couple of things there. I mean, Vivi, he stole the boars early, so he recognized there were extra boars. He stole the boars. He also walled very early, and then he went for CA on top of that. Now, let's say Red would have got the forward walls. This game could have played out very differently because he could have sent his knights in. He would have had more access to gold. Vivi just took the initiative in every age, honestly, and he finished off this game quite easily, I think, because the Vil count was huge. He had the castle going up, by the way, to the south there. So you placed that a couple minutes ago, and it was an easy game. Vivi,
that's a
honestly.
dirty castle.
That's a Vivi castle right there. That is what the Fat Dragon will give you, my friends.
What the? That is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah,
and
he
yeah,
knew
the
he was
Thunder
ahead.
upgrade coming down too. 50% accuracy really holds back the Cav Archer, but once you get all the upgrades for them, they become really cost efficient. It just takes a little while to get them going, and the Knights are something that needs to be abused early in the Huns vs. Huns matchup, and it just wasn't because of the map. The map really made all the difference here, as well as just Vivi's ability to really take advantage of it, especially with that castle. He could not drop that castle there if the map wasn't so good.
Yeah, it's somewhat normal for Budapest to have the hills in the center as well. So I was surprised when Red, because remember he had 2 scouts and Vivi had lost some of his scout HP. I was surprised when Red just let those walls happen. I was surprised that he didn't take the initiative. You know, even though Red was behind a Boar, wouldn't that be the time to then wall to buy yourself some time later on? I feel like that would be the correct moment to wall because you're going to be slightly behind in food. But I think it's obvious Vivi is just a very good player. He's better than Shuainiu, and there's a reason that Vivi's one of my favorite players in the game right now. We're looking at the achievements now.
Before we go achievements, real quick, guys.
They end up being pretty close in the end. Eco stats were well in favor of Vivi. Yeah, go ahead.
Before we go into the achievements, sorry, I was muted in Discord.
Yeah, that's fine.
That was awkward. The chat probably just thought you were like completely ignoring me there, which I hope you weren't. But no, that map is so cool. Like the double TC start, they were at 15 minutes with 3 stable production. Like that's just crazy, right? But man, that gate from Vivi in the middle of the map was just too perfect. I mean, it's like a horror film for Shuainiu, right? I mean, he knows it's there. There's nothing he could do about it, and Vivi is just like, here's Vivi coming through the gate. Nothing that he could do to stop it, and that's just crazy.
Just to touch on that, it's very easy for us as spectators to say, yeah, that makes sense. But when you just see that open area, to think about that and think how you can utilize that is a completely different story. So, yeah, brilliant gate, honestly. And, again, I think that Red should